just love this lady, Dr. Glenda Gilkes. She is so fun. We're talking HR with her now, by the way, indeed. And Glenda is a transformation and change management specialist, indeed. And it's always wonderful sitting with her to learn really from her experience, and vast experience it is indeed. Today we're looking at coping with change in the workplace. And welcome again, Dr. Gilkes.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Morning, Barbados.
Indeed. And so there's so many workplaces today that are changing, whether it is because of restructuring or just circumstances that force them to take drastic changes, either to decrease number of staff, to change processes, a whole host of things. And so people are at the center of all of that. And I think sometimes in that change, the people are not seen because you're so focused on setting your business.
Right.
And so because people are center of it, they feel lost, hurt, displaced, not thought of, not cared about. And so let's help them cope in these changing environments. How do we do so?
Okay. Well, change is constant. I would say that. We all know that change is constant. And whilst we're busy doing our job, someone is thinking, maybe we can improve this business. Maybe we have too many of these people here, but maybe we should shift. So the business itself is always thinking how they can improve. And sometimes that comes to detriment, I would say, of some employees. But this morning I want to talk about from the perspective of the employee themselves. How do they cope? Because organizations will cope. They will do what they have to do to determine the numbers. But I want to give some tips to those persons who hear the word change. Something is happening in the organization. And you often hear it as a rumor first. Sometimes you hear something is happening, or you hear there was a meeting, and then you see all these people coming in, and so you get little trickles of information coming in. And how do you cope with that? For some people, the very thought of a change drives fear, because they start to think about what ifs. What if when this change happens, I don't fit? What if I can't be merged into what they want to do? So I think employees have to also prepare themselves. So I have a little bit of a strategy that I use in going through change. And really, I call it SWOT your life.
SWOT your life? SWOT your life. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats?
SWOT your life.
Really?
Yes. It's a business acronym.
Yes.
And businesses use it when they're looking at, again, how do I improve my bottom line? How do I improve, but people should also use that acronym for themselves. So if you hear of a change and you think, what's in it for me?
Yeah, that radio station.
That radio station, WIIFM, what's in it for me? You also have to prepare yourself.
Yes.
So do some introspection. Don't let the fear grip you, but do some introspection and reflection on how can I fit into this new model, or can I fit into this new model, or is it that I should just look at other opportunities?
Right.
So the strengths is looking at what I have, what do I possess now, what is my strength that I can take forward into the new entity or the new change, right? And then, of course, the weaknesses, meaning what do I need to do to improve so that I can be absorbed or I can fit in, okay? The opportunities, what else is out there? How can this help me, this new change help me in terms of developing my skills, my craft, what I do? And, of course, there's always that dark cloud, the threats. The threats in itself also have opportunities. The threats are what will derail me, right, from being able to fit into this new system or this new process.
When I do that and I document everything, all my strengths, my weaknesses, those opportunities and those threats, I see a clear picture. I see a clear picture of whether I fit or I do not fit. Whether or not I have what it takes to get in, to stay with the company that's changing, or whether I need to find employment elsewhere or find an opportunity elsewhere. Whether or not I need to take on a little bit of training, a go do some studying to further enhance. So there's a clear picture.
That's your opportunities right there.
Right there.
Yes.
But the change starts, as you said, with a whisper,
Yes.
and so the uncertainty.
Yes.
And all the while, that measure of discomfort, how do I settle my spirit in that discomfort?
I think you first have to get the right information.
Okay.
Because the whispers can sometimes be a little bit misleading.
Yeah.
Because somebody heard something that somebody said, and you know how that gets watered down along the way. But I think it's important to ask the right questions, attend the meetings. If you hear that something is happening and there's a meeting, attend the meeting. Have your questions written down. What does this mean for my department? What does this mean for me? Ask the questions. Go to the people who can answer those questions. Because often we take information from persons who don't know the answers either. They're just struggling just like you. So ask the questions, find out what it means for you as an individual.
You're asking me, though, now to trust as well.
Yeah.
Because here it is, all the while I was working with you, and all was well, and suddenly I'm hearing rumors, gossip. I have to go seeking answers. Can I trust your responses, or are you simply shutting me up because I'm disturbing you based upon what you're seeking to do to me?
But we're hoping that, organizations are being open. I think that's the only way for them to truly have a successful transition.
Good.
Right? If you keep information from your employees, all it does is sow seeds of discord, rumor mongering, fear, and it also impacts your productivity, because if I'm worrying, I'm not coming to work,
yes.
I go in sick, I just can't function, because all the while, in the back of my head, I'm wondering, what's in it for me?
And I'm glad you mentioned it like that the organization should be truthful and upfront.
Yes.
Because it's a relationship between
Yes.
both. And so while you know what your structural plans are,
Yes.
the changes that you're seeking to have, at the same time, if you're not being honest and true to your employees, you're going to have a very rocky transition that's happening right there.
Very.
And then the organization is going to ask, but how much do I share? How much can I share? So that we are, because it's a change happening all the while, and we have to work together.
Correct.
So how much can I share?
Right. So the organization would have had some kind of strategy in place. So part of the strategy includes a communication strategy. So communication for your internal people and communication for external. And often we get it messed up.
Yes.
Sometimes you hear things on the news and that's my organization, but I didn't know that was happening. And so that's something that we really need to work on. And I know that a number of companies have now employed communication strategists who will help them craft what they're supposed to say internally to your stakeholders inside and to your external stakeholders.
And I hope that crafting, remembering what's in it for me.
What's in it for me?
That employee is always asking that question.
Yes.
Are you upsetting me? Are you going to be unseating me? Do I have to look somewhere else? Will I find comfort? Will my friends be still here?
Yes.
The people who I've formed relationships with.
Right.
And then would I be taking on more?
Yes.
And what am I going to be paid? Because,
Right.
the hierarchy of needs.
That's the important question.
We're talking about how much can change, how open, and the value of the communications specialist in that process as well. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yes. So communication is very, very important, because as I said earlier, if you don't know, then you make up stuff in your head and you listen to all the persons who purport to know or believe they know.
Because it sounds good to it fits your narrative.
And if it's into your narrative. I think it is incumbent on organizations to have a well-crafted communication plan, a strategy that not only taps into your people, right, but also your external people, and your timing for releasing that information. Now, compensation is one of those things that persons always want to know. What is it that I'm going to get? You know, but there are many steps to that process, and you must appreciate and respect the fact that not all information can be released at the same time. But I think it is incumbent on the organizations to give persons the information that they need in a timely manner, so that they go away understanding this change is coming, And these are the steps along that route. And do I fit in? Because if I don't fit into the strategy, because unfortunately sometimes an organization may say I have to reduce headcount.
Yes.
Very, very uncomfortable place to be in, but it's a reality. And if I am not part of that number, then what do I do? Do I look outside? When do I start to do that?
Yes.
And so it's important that employees also tap into hear what is being said, ask questions from the persons who have the answers, and make your plans from there. Using your strength, weakness, and opportunity and threat analysis as well. So if I have to look for a new position, what do I do? Where are my strengths? What do I have to shore up? What do I have to take advantage of? And what do I need to do to move into a new position, a new role? You want to come away with the change with everyone having a win-win experience.
As much as possible.
As much as possible. But change is difficult. We know that. Change is difficult, and some persons really feel hard-pressed because I've given this company 20 years. How dare they, reduce me to a number? But sometimes organizations have to do it to survive. And once we understand that, then we also need to be change ready. You're hurricane ready.
Yes.
You must be change ready, particularly when you are at a certain age and you know that if something were to happen to this organization, where would I find myself? And so I tell people always keep your resume sharp, current, relevant, because you never know. Change is so normal these days, particularly since COVID. Before we went to work 8 to 4:30 and so on. Now we have things such as working from home. Before that was unheard of, and so companies are finding other ways to be a little bit more efficient. And so the employee also must find ways to remain relevant, if not in this organization, in another organization.
I was breaking it down.
Yes.
The leading up to the whispers, the meetings, and so forth. The change has started.
Yes.
And sometimes that communication stops. And the radio station strikes up again. What's in it for me? Is this still the place I want to be? And why are they still not listening? Because now we're foisted with changes in processes and relationships and the like, and we aren't quite settling. How do we manage that part of the change now? Because now we're up and running again, having taken that drastic change, and yet we want to remain relevant and care for our staff.
So you must inject some kind of employee assistance in this process, because everybody is going through it. So even if I am not displaced, my buddy who I worked with for the last 10 years is gone. How do I manage that? How do I deal with that? It's like a grieving process, because even though I may still have a job, I'm thinking about my friend Mary, who now has been displaced, not working, has children, and so on. So staff do go through a grieving process as well. And again, I go back to the employer ensuring that there is support. So I had an experience whereby my company at the time was closing its operations in Barbados and moving to, I think it was India. And so our plan, what did we do with all these 200 plus employees? And we went into a mode where we provided support. We created a hotline. We made sure that persons, even though they may not have been entitled to severance because of the years they have put in, we requested and got money to support them. We brought in persons who will help them. Persons get a large sum of money because they're being made redundant. And the first instinct is, I'm going to go and buy
something large.
Something large.
I can afford it now.
Right? But we brought in persons to help them with managing their finances, investing, entrepreneurship, so those kind of things. And of course, the psychological aspect of coping with that change. And so we brought in psychologists as well. And so persons had that opportunity to speak with persons on a one-on-one, because everybody had their own different experience and feeling about this change. So where an employer can do that, I encourage them to do that, to have a program that not only says, here's your final check, well, goodbye and never see you again, but that relationship continues on until there's a seamless transition out, and you know that your employees are in a good space, in a good way, as they leave the organization.
Those who remain will sometimes be distrustful of those who also remain, because we felt that you stitched on somebody who Mary got set because of what you did. So all of that is part of the fabric that still needs to be stitched together nicely.
Yes.
So that because change is constant, you can't stop because you've met a particular deadline.
Yes.
You have to continue the conversation,
Yes.
continue the discussion,
Yes.
continue the sharing,
Yes.
continue the communication.
Yes.
That's all part of the coping with the changing workplace.
Yes.
And there will probably come the time when you're functioning well, but even then, you still have to maintain that connection.
Yes.
Because WIIFM does not close.
It does not close. 24-hour radio station.
Got that right.
Right? No commercials. Life is always lifing.
I like
Things
you.
are always happening. And so you have to also prepare yourself. You know, it's not the employer's responsibility only.
Yes.
You also have a responsibility to keep up to date with what is happening. There's so many free programs, training programs, online, Coursera and NTI, and keep yourself current, keep yourself active. Don't think, well, they haven't sent me to training, so I'm not going.
I'm not making the effort.
Because they can't take it out of your head. If you learn a new skill, it belongs to you, and you'll take it wherever you go. So you also have a responsibility as an employee to upskill, keep yourself current, keep yourself relevant, keep yourself in the know.
Well said, Dr. Glenda Gilkes. See why I love this woman? It is so good sitting with you again, talking HR with HRMAB, indeed with you, and looking at coping with change in this changing workplace environment.
Yes.
And so we've learned a lot. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
You're welcome indeed. And so remember, membership brings benefit, folks. If you are not yet a member of HRMAB, join today. Go to hrmab.org.bb, sign up, because you'll have benefits of people like Dr. Glenda Gilkes and other practitioners who you can lean on, and they'll share from their experience.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.